In every circumstance, your team knows you're wrong. They're not
Exactly.
dumb. They're smart.
Exactly.
So they're like,
Exactly.
wait a minute. You're gonna double down on this right now?
There's a lot of binary thinking out there. There's a lot of doubling, tripling, quadrupling down out there everywhere. Don't fall into that trap. It's hubris. It's ego. It's obnoxious. It's wrong. Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh Show.
Metacasters, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes look right now as Bob and I prepped for this episode. Bob's wrong. Bob's wrong. He had an idea for what we should talk about, and it's a bad idea, but he just doesn't want to let go. And so, Bob, I would like you to tell the listeners why you think your idea is so wonderful.
Well, because it's mine and it's not yours. And I think you're jealous. And it's a great idea, right? I vetted it with my children, and they all agreed that it was a great idea, Josh, right? And when was the last time I was wrong, Josh? Do you know that? Probably before I was born, right?
No, that's not true. That's
I
not
think
accurate.
it is. I think it is. I think you're jealous of my great intellect.
I am not jealous of your bad idea. You can keep your bad idea.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. You know what? If we don't do it, I'm going to quit.
Okay.
Quit. Go ahead and quit. Make my day.
That one backfired on you.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
All right. So, Metacasters, our episode today is about when you're wrong, and don't do what Bob just did. Don't double down because you will be wrong. Now, the first thing is accepting that you're wrong. I guess that's step one, to recognize you might actually be wrong. But the time will come. We are not infallible. You, my wonderful leader that is watching and or listening, you're probably wrong about something right now, or you've been wrong about something in the past. And we're going to talk about how as leaders to navigate that. Hopefully not the way Bob did.
Yeah, I think I was role modeling Metacaster's bad behavior, so please don't. Oh, I just watched a Metacast, and Bob gave me permission to never be wrong. You know what? Josh teed it up. It really is. This episode is about leaders who really struggle to admit that they're wrong and about something. It could be something big. It could be something small. And I think they double down. There's this notion of doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, or whatever. Just so when you know you're wrong, it's like if you say the wrongness louder, you think it'll become more true or something, or people will accept it as true. And I think there's a phenomenon nowadays where you see it in AI. Everyone's an expert in AI. Right? How do you become an AI expert, Josh, in 2 weeks or something, right? In like a fundamental, and even now, after a few years of AI, I remember lots of people jump on the bandwagon, and it's like, in a short period of time, they become a wizard. And I'm like, no, you can't know everything. Why don't you admit that you only know this much? I have no problem with that, right? I mean, I'll be truthful, but I think there's a propensity for whatever set of reasons for folks to be incredibly uncomfortable with that. And that's okay. Like there's admitting it, and then there's like deflecting it. And I think that's a terrible posture for leaders to do that, because not only is it the issue at hand, but you're sort of setting a culture of that, right? Your role model, whether you like it or not, your behavior role models to your organization. So you could be the CTO of a 300-person group, and you're doing this deflection, mumbo jumbo, and it's not only about whatever you're, denying and doubling down on, but you're giving your entire organization permission or a role model that says that's the way you handle that when you're wrong.
And in most of the circumstances, if not all, in fact, I think I'm going to change it to all. In every circumstance, your team knows you're wrong. They're not dumb. They're smart.
Exactly.
So they're like,
exactly.
wait a minute. You're you're gonna double down on this right now? We all see it. We're not like it's that's one of the frustrating things is the um, indirect insults that you're slinging at your team in hoping, pretending that they don't see the truth. So that's where, and then at that point, it's over, right? Like you've lost them, and as a leader, it's going to be hard for them to follow you. Now they'll probably stick around for a paycheck or whatever it is, but building that truly great team that does amazing things, that ship has sailed at that point. Once you've done that, that's gone, and that's going to be really hard to recreate or to create, whether you can recreate something you never had. But that's one of the frustrating things as a person that's been sitting in that audience of, an all hands or something like that, and a leader says something and everybody just kind of looks at each other like, really? We know that's not actually true or accurate, or that's impossible, or whatever, that's how death marches happen, things like that. So yeah.
Well, and I think vulnerability is so much more powerful. Like you can say the same, I'm not sure this is right, and then say something. And then I'd love to hear other voices. Imagine that for a shift. And then you're open to hearing voices from the crowd, from your team or whatever. And you aggregate that with what you were thinking. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. Right? I like what Josh is saying. I think that's much more thoughtful from a strategic point of view. Imagine that dialogue versus the double, then triple, then denial, then, oh, the meeting's over. And everyone knows that. I have a real quick, I hope it's related to this, Josh. I think it is. But I used to think many years ago, I was in management delusion hell or something. And I thought that I was observing team member performance. And so like problematic team members, someone who, was performing poorly and causing angst into a team. And I had this delusion that, you know what, I'm the first one that will detect it. So if I'm the early detection warning, I have plenty of time to handle that. And then pretty quickly, after maybe a year or two, I realized that I was absolutely wrong, that I was the last person to know, that the team around them was the first person. The early warning was them. And then I had to flip it. I was like, well, shit, I've got to really be on top of this stuff because I'm the last one to know. So then I've got to take action. And it goes back to the teams are always the early warning sign. Like your teams, unless it's something really strategic or it's a merger or it's something confidential, that your teams, gosh, I'm going to say this, they know more than you do. The cumulative brain power of your organization trumps your brain power 100% of the time. Josh, except for Josh's organizations.
That is definitely not true. A thing I was thinking about is there's been this evolution of leadership styles, and I've lived through it. When I started being a leader, when Bob was raised as a leader, leaders were intended to be infallible, and that was the expectation, and you could never be wrong. And that still carries over, and we see some of that. Then there was a pivot towards being a servant leader. And there have been times when I have not been, I guess we'll use this word, strong enough of a leader of setting the direction, where I was trying to serve too much and trying to measure what the masses want and guide and steer that, when in reality, the team wants a leader. The team wants a direction. And it doesn't mean that leader's always right, but still the team needs you to lead. They need you out front. They need you charting the course, saying, this is where we're going. This is how we're doing it. Come on, let's go. That doesn't mean you don't listen to them. You don't hear everything that's going on. Ask questions, say, hey, what do you think, to adjust? But there was an evolution where it was, I can never be wrong. And then it's like, well, maybe I don't know everything, so I'm going to be like, back down and not lead. And so now what Bob and I are talking about is there's this difficult middle line that you have to walk. and balance, that oftentimes that's why people fall off to one side or the other. Either they're never wrong or they're never willing to chart a direction. And both of those are bad for an organization, like really bad for an organization. So the hard part is leading and also accepting that at some point you're going to be wrong and you're going to have to figure out how to navigate that. And that's where I think people get into trouble.
And I still think it's valid today. There's a lot of, I mean, you and I've talked pre-Medicast about the political environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just one person. I could pick on one person. But I think all politicians, I hardly ever hear a politician say that they're wrong. I don't think they can do that. Then if they are caught up in something, then they do that politician speak and they start using waffling words and things like that, or they start talking, look, there's a squirrel over there. They start doing, diversional conversations and things. And so I think there's a modern trend, and it's happening maybe with social media, and it's happening in the political environment. It's happening with fake news, or all of the, sort of different perspectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're wrong, I'm right. Where it's the climate today, I think it's really hard for leaders. That tendency, if anything, is as strong as it's ever been. That's why we're having this Metacast, is take a look in the mirror, I think, and see if you're being overly influenced. And what we're encouraging you to do is the more powerful position, and you know this. You don't need a book or, an academic class or something. You know this, that vulnerability engenders you to humanness, genuineness, engenders you to your teams. It shows that you're human, you're real, you're genuine. It connects to them. It invites them to help you in formulating ideas. So it's actually it's counterintuitive. It's a much more powerful stance if you're worried about having a powerful stance.
Yeah. As I think about my journey in becoming a leader there, and I've told this story before, but we've done 500 episodes, so I'm not going to pretend everybody's heard it. I was applying for a leadership job at Amazon, and they have these 12 leadership principles or something like that. And one of them is you're right a lot. And I was mid servant leader journey. And I just was like, come on, like, how could, like, that's a little pretentious to think that you're right a lot. And so I went through the interview process and ended up not getting the job and all that stuff. But I was thinking about that over time. And in the following years, I started to realize I was right a lot.
Yeah.
And that good leaders are often right a lot. But that doesn't mean you're right every time. And the way they worded it was intentional. You're right a lot, not you're always right, or you're right every time. And so what I started to recognize was like, hey, wait a minute, like I'm pretty damn good at this. And that means that my instincts are right, my experience is telling me a lot, I'm listening to my gut. All of those things are helping me steer us in the air quote right direction more often than not. But what I had to learn was to trust that and then also recognize when I was wrong and how to handle that. And that's what I want to talk through now is like, how do you handle it when you recognize, oh shit, I screwed this up? How do you navigate that? So for those of you that maybe are a little nervous about standing up in front of your team saying, I'm wrong, this was a bad direction, we need to change course, and it's going to hurt. I know it's not going to be easy for us to change direction or whatever it is, right? Usually those things aren't simple or easy to make switches on, but you've got to do it, or you double down and you just make things worse.
I just think you do it from a tools, if I'm wrong with my wife. I mean, look at your life. Look for life examples. You're wrong with your kids. The longer you hold that, the worse it gets. You're wrong with your wife. The longer you hold that, the worse. You're wrong at church. The longer you hold that. Your car. You're wrong about your car. Your car is broken. You're not tidying it. the longer you hold it, the worse it gets. I think there's probably like a universal principle like gravity, right? Longevity, right? Denial longevity does not improve anything. So you just apologize. You just do the best you can. And if you've built back to leadership, if you built relationships, people will understand. They'll give you grace if if you've made a mistake, or hopefully they're not judging you, etc. So I think you just do it. I think we make it different when we're a leader. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not any different than any other time in your life. You're making it different mentally. Don't do that. Don't bring the power dynamic. If you're wrong, say it to the CEO or whatever the highest power dynamic is in your company, right? It would be the same. It would be the same practice, the same approach. When would you do it? Early, right? The earliest possible moment that you understand that. If you're half right and half wrong, then explain that. Just be real.
Yeah, the phrase that lives in my head is bad news never ages well. Whenever I think of, is this bad news to somebody, to me, to the organization, to a customer, whatever it is, it's got to get out. It's got to get out now. Because to Bob's point, it never gets better. It just doesn't. So you have to attack it head on. And the longer you let it linger, the messier it's going to get, which is why the double down. No, you make it double worse.
You make it worse.
Yeah.
You make it worse. You start laughing at people. You start poking at them. You start getting this defensive behavior, which is the absolute worst thing you can do. I want to go back to what you said, that Amazon, you're right a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about that lately since you said it, Josh. But do you have to be right a lot? And the twist I'm putting on it, so you are right a lot. Metacasters, Josh Anderson is right almost 100% of the time. He's a righteous individual.
Very hefty rounding there.
Yeah. But the twist I want to put on it, from a leadership point of view, does he have to prove that he's right? Right? And I would say no. Right? So he can be right, but does he have to be right? Right? Does he have to, sort of accentuate the rightness? I think our job as leaders is to develop people that are right meaning other people who are right a lot. We're encouraging them. We're growing them. We're mentoring them. So by being wrong, if you will, wrong or whatever, we're creating space for other people to be right, to talk about their solutions, to talk about their ideas. I think that's our job. That's our job, right? Is it, yes, but I would make it, primarily, is it to be right and to accentuate that? No, it's to be right and then share the wisdom that you have and grow other people so that they start understanding your thinking dynamics, your experiential dynamics. That's my only twist on it.
No, I think that's a good way to clarify it, is that as you grow as a leader, your success is defined more by the team that you've built.
You don't have to be right all the time, right? Or whatever
Yeah.
you want an organization, I think. And again, this goes back to, and part of that is admitting it when you're wrong, etc. But you want to create this organization that is smarter and wiser. You don't always inherit it, but you can create that organization that's incredibly brilliant and incredibly adept at making good decisions, and you're a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Being in knowledge work, as we do, being right, and right is different for everything and everybody. Being right is like being a good shooter in basketball. The teams that win the most are going to be the ones that make the most baskets, that can hit the most shots. And that's being right about your domain, your product, your strategy, whatever it is. The more players on your team you have that are able to hit those shots, the more successful you're going to be. And in knowledge work, that's knowing and understanding and setting the right direction and going all of that. And as your team grows, that responsibility is less upon you to do that and more upon you shaping and growing and cultivating an organization that does that more consistently. That's how you become a great leader. That's how you build a sustaining org that can handle anything. When market's up, market's down, a new technology comes out of left field like AI or whatever it is, right? That's a sustainable organization. Easy to say, hard to do.
What is that Michael Jordan quote? You hit 0% of the shots that you don't take.
Right.
I'm just resonating that off of your basketball comment.
Right.
I don't know if it's relevant to this discussion or not, but
yeah.
I like that. Any Michael Jordan quote is good by me. Let me.
Yeah. Well, and like you think about some of the coaches, like some of the coaches were former good players, but they don't need to be good players anymore.
Yeah.
They just have to be good at assembling and organizing a team to get them on the court to score more points than the other team. And that's it. They don't have to hit the shots anymore.
Yep. Metacasters, I think today's theme is short and sweet. It's just be real. And it really is this reaction. You look out there, there's a lot of denialism going in. There's a lot of, right, sort of I'm rightism and you're wrong. There's a lot of binary thinking out there. There's a lot of doubling, tripling, quadrupling down out there everywhere. Don't fall into that trap. It's hubris. It's ego. It's obnoxious. It's wrong. And it doesn't develop, it's not leadership. It's leadership by, I don't know, sort of like heavy-handed, I'm going to lead. It's something abhorrent. And it's not what we're about. It's not what you should be about. And you know that. It's as simple as just being yourself. Get comfortable with I don't know. Get comfortable with I know a little bit, but I need your help. In organizations. And if you do make a mistake, have an indicator that says, I'm just before you double down, catch yourself. It's like, no, I'm not going to double down. I'm going to sort of retreat a little bit and then I'll restate is what we're trying to say today. Josh, last word.
Yeah, I've been coaching a few folks in the younger generation, and a relatively consistent theme that I'm working with them on is becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's part of the challenge of, in a binary world, it either is or it isn't. But our world is not that crisp and clear, especially as a leader, someone building an organization, growing a family, whatever it is. There is seldom a clear, this is the answer to every problem you have. It's just not there. And so you have to be willing to wade in and sort of figure it out and know when to raise your hand. Oh, dang, I was wrong. We got to backtrack. We got to go figure this out. Or like, oh, yes, this is it. This is actually working. Let's double down in a good way here because that's working. But maybe you didn't know it was going to work, and so you had to try it, but you had to be comfortable trying it, knowing it might not work. And that's where I see a lot of folks struggling. And I wrote an article, Bob, that was for you. I wanted to give you that before we ended this, about steering into the maelstrom, about the fact that we don't have the answers.
I saw that this morning, and I was so proud of you, my friend.
Thank you. So steer into it. Know that it's not black or white. It's mostly gray, and you got to lean into that gray.
Absolutely. The only thing that's right in this world is the quality of the interchange in the Metacast between Bob and Josh.
Amen. Wow.
That's the only thing that we can we're going to double down on. So with that, from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And beautiful downtown Fuquay Arena, North Carolina.
I'm Bob, always right Galen.
And I'm Josh, seldom right Anderson.
Shake and
bake.
bake. Take care, y'all.